Welcome to Whitetail Rendezvous Podcast with your host, Bruce Hutchin, episode number 170.
Welcome to Whitetail Rendezvous Podcast, where it is all about whitetail deer hunting tips, techniques, and the stories so you can become a more successful whitetail deer hunter. And now your host, Bruce Hutchin.
Steve Cornett is on the pro staff for Rack's Big Game Supplement. He hails from Windsor, Nebraska, which is located in northeast Nebraska. Been bow hunting his whole life, and he competes locally and nationally in archery competitions. He's on the Northeast Community College archery team. He placed fifth at the Outdoor Nationals in Florida just last year. He loves to hunt along the Elk Hound River. He's been using racks for about 6 years and has amazing luck with it. His father and he have harvested some great bucks over the past 5 years. Welcome to another edition of Whitetail Rendezvous Podcast. This is your host, Bruce Hutchin. Hey, and today we're heading over to Windsor, Nebraska. It's located in northeast Nebraska, and we're going to talk to Steve Cornett. Steve Cornett's on pro staff for Rack's Big Game Supplement. If you haven't checked out Rack's, give Chris Edwards a call at Rack's Big Game Supplements. Hey, Steve, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Steve, share with our listeners just what you're doing over there at Rack's Big Game Supplements.
Well, I'm field staff for them, which I rep their company the best I can, get the word out as much as I can, and just tell everyone about the great product it is. I mean, we don't have the fancy labels and fancy bags, fancy commercials, having the high-dollar people on TV using it, but I know every single person I talk to that uses it won't use anything else because they love that product. And it just makes me feel happy about that just because it's pretty much, well, Rack started in Windsor and then Chris bought it, but it's just a small business type of deal, and it's great to see how well it's doing.
Now, what does it do for the herd and to grow big bone?
What was that?
What does it do to balance the herd, to help the herd, as well as helping bucks grow big racks?
Well, I try to run trail cameras on most of my sites all year round, and I know fawns will hit it as soon as they can. Does are always there, which is great to see. Helps the fawns and does stay healthy, and when the bucks hit it, I always have bucks coming to it, but you can definitely see an increase in their antler size and body growth. I've been using it for 6 years now, and the past 4 years, both my dad and I have taken Pope and Young bucks, which is 125 inches or bigger, which to us makes us happy just because before, it'd be every 3-4 years we'd see a decent buck. Now it's every year we're seeing bucks that are getting bigger and bigger, and it's just nice to be able to watch them, let them go, watch them in your stand, and then a couple of years later to see what they grow into. It's pretty amazing.
Let's talk about what you put in on the ground in the first quarter of the year, January, February, March, and then all through the year. So let's break the year into 4 quarters and tell us what you start the year with, and then what you end the year with as far as mineral supplements.
Well, I'll start the year off with feed and mineral in our protein blocks, and just because it's hard to break up the ground when it's frozen, obviously. So, through the frozen months, I'll use Rack's feed and then Rack's protein blocks, which I have great luck with both that, and even the feed I'll mix mineral around with just so they're still getting more mineral. And then come spring, when it starts to thaw, then I start putting out the mineral and really getting deer hammering on the mineral. And I use that until it freezes. I know I can't like even during deer season, you can't have it within 200 yards of your deer stand. So, I mean, you got to watch them regulations.
Okay,
for
let's
whatever
talk.
state you're in.
Yeah, I want to give a caveat here. So whatever state you're in, listener, in North America, remember, please check with your DOW, whoever is in charge of your critters in your state, and make sure you're doing this the right way, and so you're not going to get in trouble, because some people I've known, they've shown me trail cameras of the warden standing in their food plot and mineral and writing them up a ticket, and they caught it on their trail camera. So please be smart about that, and don't cut corners, and just play the game the way it's supposed to be played.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, every state is different, and I guess just whatever state you're in, you just got to watch your regulations and all that.
So let's talk about your hit list and how you said your dad and yourself had seen bucks go from, less than 125, inside the ears, to now they're getting outside the ears and starting to build some mass and some tine length. So tell us about your hit list for last year, and then what you're thinking about your hit list going to be for this year.
Well, this year hunting was tough. I unfortunately missed what would have been my biggest yet to date, and we got hit hard at DHD, so I didn't even shoot a doe this year. Or I haven't shot a doe since DHD hit, but I mean, our herd's coming back great. You can see they're still just as strong and the bones just as big. But I mean, this year we had 2 bucks for sure that we wanted to get, and one of them I missed. But I mean, I passed on in my opinion, I thought it was a 2.5-year-old, and he already had a drop tine. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him this year, seeing if or how long that drop tine gets, seeing if he grows another one, just stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him. We had a real wide 8-point. He was wide and heavy, and I'm really anxious to see him also. He was one of them that was on our hit list. And then the one that I missed, he was just kind of I wouldn't say once in a lifetime buck, because that could be anybody's opinion. But I would guess probably 150, 160s class, which I could be wrong. But I mean, he had 2 kickers, and then he was forked at the end. He was just a gnarly looking buck, I thought. So, I mean, them bucks, I'm really excited to watch them grow and see what they turn into, I guess.
Tell me about the terrain and the cover that you're hunting in.
We're pretty flat. We have we're right along the Elkhorn River, and so we have a lot of swampy areas. We have a couple creeks that run through, but it's heavy timber. A lot of parts are thick, and which is great. I love hunting along the thick edges, and then we hunt along probably close to 200-300 acres of all irrigated crop, which is every year corn, so really beneficial to us. Just having all that healthy corn down there, and plus using our racks out there really helps keep the deer there. But yeah, we're right along the river. It's tough to walk through, but you get away from the river a little bit, you run into a lot of meadows, and then it'll get back into the thick trees.
Now, the corn, is that your food plot?
No, a farmer from Wisner, he farms all the ground around it. We don't have much fields to plant food plots in, but what I do is I put out food plots inside of the trees. Like my tree stands along meadows. I'll till up some of the grass there, and I'll throw out food plots there, which they're not huge food plots, but they keep the deer coming to them and keep them there in the area.
Now, how many, I'm going to call them micro plots, do you have?
Oh, I think I have 4 of them. Yeah, I have 4 of them.
Now, have trail cameras on each side, north, south, east, and west, or just one camera setup? Or tell us about your trail camera setup.
Oh, I really don't run trail cameras on my food plot unless if I have racks on the food plot or by the food plot. But I mean, when I have like the one I have on the edge, I have racks on the edge of the food plot. So I have a camera there, obviously. I just have it on the one side, pointing right at the rack. You catch some of the food plot. But this year my food plot was just destroyed because of I put the racks right on the edge, and deer would come to the racks, and they would just tear up the food plot and racks.
Well, that must be exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see that. I mean, it kind of irritates the guy because you go through all that work, plant the food plot, and then you go back and it's destroyed, but then you have a hole that's a foot deep because of deer hammering your mineral. So it's kind of a win-win or a win-lose situation, but I guess I don't know how to word
it. You got them coming to you. That's how I'd word it. You got them coming to you.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So let's take a segue here. I know you're a competitive archer, have been for a long time. Let's tell our listeners how competitive archery has helped you become a better hunter.
It's helped out a great plenty. I mean, I never would have thought I would have been comfortable shooting as far as I'm shooting now at a live animal and be 100% confident in my shot. And I practice year-round. I belong to an archery, or my family belongs to an archery league in Norfolk. So every Thursday night we'll go up there and shoot indoors during the fall and winter. And then during the spring and summer, we'll shoot outdoors. So, I mean, it helps out a lot. Just being able to keep yourself tuned and in the shooting shape all year round.
Now, are you on a college team?
Yes, sir, I am. I'm on the Northeast Community College archery team. We have 5 different tournaments we go to. We'll have regional 3D, national 3D, national indoor, and then outdoor national, or regional and national outdoors. I've been fortunate enough to do pretty good at it. Last year at national outdoor, I got 5th in the nation, which made me feel really good about how I shot. This year, I got 11th at the national 3D, which the 3D is outdoors also, but you'll have one day, 40 targets you have to guess your range at, and then the second day, you'll have another 40 targets, but all the yardage for the targets are given to you.
Up to 21, real slow.
And then,
wow,
like the outdoor, it's 50 meters, which is like 54 point some yards, and you just shoot 5 arrows at it, then go point arrows. But I think you shoot or 60 or 72 arrows in a day, and we'll have 3 days of that.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of work, a lot of muscle memory there.
Yeah, I mean, I try to shoot 250 arrows a day. Sometimes I don't get it all done, but I mean, the more you practice, the better you're off. Especially hunting, because if you've hunted long enough, that you know the feeling of wounding even a doe or a big buck, anything. It sends a nasty feeling inside your stomach, and other than this year, I've been real fortunate of not even wounding a deer. Granted, this year I missed one, but I mean, it just goes to show how much practice pays off for a guy.
Now, take what you're doing, on the range and competitive shooting. How has that helped you become a better archer? Because you just said you missed a doe. Was that from a tree stand, ground blind, or tell us about how that came about?
Well, it was last year during rut, and he came in chasing a doe, and I ranged him at 43 yards, so I put the 40-yard pin just a little high on him, and he ended up ducking my arrow. But I probably don't practice out of a deer stand as much as I should, or as much as I'd like to, I should say. I mean, I'll go out to the trees and I'll shoot probably 20 arrows before season, and then just to make sure I'm bending at the right places, still anchoring at the right place. But like all my tournaments I go to, it's always shooting off the ground. Some of them you'll get to an elevated platform, but it won't be nothing like a deer stand. It's going to be hard to get that feeling or motion or whatever of shooting out of a deer stand unless you actually do it. So, I mean, my opinion is practice as much as you can, but don't forget you got to practice from how you're going to be shooting. I mean, anybody can go from shooting perfect conditions, perfect stance, everything indoors, then they go outside standing on uneven ground or a tree stand, sitting in a chair in a ground blind, and it can throw off everything.
That's a good point. That's a great point. I said, Steve, that's a great point, and we forget about that.
And, I mean, just like coming to winter, you have all them extra clothes on, you have gloves on. Some people might wear face masks. It might affect your anchor points, how you hold your bow. There's a lot of stuff to go in. Just go into one shot, pretty much, I guess, that a guy doesn't think about all the time and probably should.
Let's go back to a phenomenon or defense mechanism that every deer that I've been shooting at lately, like last 10, 15 years, they're trying to duck the string. Why do you think that happens?
Oh, I mean, you know how well deer can hear. It's just how fast sound can travel and how loud your bow is. Say your string hits your coat, I mean, that'll definitely alarm a deer faster than it will just a regular shot, just because there's that extra twang in there. But a lot of bows nowadays are getting quieter, but it seems like deer are getting smarter, so I don't know which one to believe. But, a lot of people say aim low because of the deer's going to duck. I personally, I don't do that. Maybe, I mean, after this year, yeah, I think about it now, and I probably will think about it. Maybe I'll try it, but I guess it's just who you are and how you've done it.
Yeah, that makes sense to me, and I can. Real short story, was hunting in Colorado, mule deer hunting, and this buck came out, just a really nice velvet mule deer. He came up the trail, and everything was going good. And when I let the arrow go, he was walking from left to right. He spun, and my arrow hit him on his off shoulder, and it didn't penetrate because he was moving, the arrow was moving, and it just hit his shoulder blade. But I could not believe how fast that animal, I mean, from the time it took to release the arrow and go 25 yards, he had spun. My shot was good, but he just spun and did that. I was amazed, and I never forget that lesson of how quick these deer can be. And once they're hunted or they hear something, they know exactly what to do. So take note of that, and I'll go out and say, think about aiming a little lower, like almost a foot lower than you normally would, because they do drop and the hind legs kind of flare out a little bit, and that's enough for a lot of people to miss.
Oh yeah, that's exactly right.
Well, let's talk about youth and outdoors. In the warm-up, you said, one thing that you're focused on and try to work on hard is, youth and the outdoors. So let's talk about that for a little bit.
Well, I mean, I love nothing more than seeing kids get off the couch and go into the outdoors, even just to walk around. It's a million times better than sitting in front of a TV, playing video games, anything. I mean, the lessons you can learn out in the trees is unexplainable. I mean, I was 3 years old when my dad taught me hunting, and ever since then I've been hooked. Just to get out there, I mean, you're one-on-one with the good Lord, seeing all of His creation. It's just magnificent, I guess you could say. I try my best to get youth out. I mean, where we hunt, it's kind of hard to take kids with, but we have plenty of public ground around that I've taken kids out to try to get them turkeys. It's just a great feeling when you can at least take somebody with you to let them sit along for the first time, and you have a deer walk right underneath your stand or have a turkey gobble right in front of your blind. To see that kid smile on their face is unexplainable.
Kids really light up when, they have game that close and they're experiencing something you can't experience any other way.
Oh, no. It's, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's a heart, or it's just, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's a great feeling when you can take a kid out, or even asking them if they want to go and seeing their face light up when they say yes. It's a great feeling. I love doing it.
Well, that's great. Now, let's turn back to lessons learned and share with the listeners a couple of lessons that you learned last year. One, we already know about, and you can talk a little bit more about that, about how you missed that one buck. But tell us maybe something about your setup on your stand, your clothing, your scent control. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Well, I'm a big believer in scent control. I mean, I'll wash my clothing. I spray down. I have scent control gear. It's just, deer's noses are incredible in my opinion, and that's why I do the best I can to make sure I'm scent-free as much as possible. And like I have certain stands set up for certain winds. There's some stands that I won't hunt in the morning just because of the sunrise will cast my shadow where the deer walks. And so it's pretty much just one more moving item that deer will see and alert them. But yeah, I'm a big believer in scent and sitting still, because Well, deer don't look for humans. They look for movement. They see movement, they're going to be alarmed, and then you just have to be a million times stealthier on anything you do, whether it's trying to pull back, whether it's trying to raise your gun, trying to pull up your rangefinder to see what the yardage is going to be. I mean, it's just difficult when you alert a deer, and I'm pretty sure we've all done it. I've been there. I know that. And just learning the hard way.
Let's share about the hunting tradition, and you mentioned your dad got you started. Who else was important in your life to get you, out of doors and being the hunter that you are today?
Well, I never got to meet my great-grandfather, but that's who pretty much got my dad's dad hunting, and they started bow hunting. And then my grandfather raised my dad, and my dad raised me the exact same way. It's just I thank my dad daily just because of everything he's taught me about anything, whether it's work ethic, whether it's my faith, or even hunting. I mean, I got to give all the credit to my dad just for showing me the great experience and getting me hooked. Sometimes it gets me in trouble with school, trying to get out of school or skip a class. But hopefully none of my teachers are listening.
That's funny.
But it's kind of cool to look back and think that I'm the fourth generation hunting in my family. It just kind of makes me proud, and that's why I bust my butt on archery and hunting, and it's pretty cool too. My dad was raised hunting on the ground. We are still hunting today, and we'll go looking for sheds. We'll be walking looking for turkeys, and he'll show me stands he used to sit in, and back then it's all just pretty much wooden steps going up to a tree limb sitting on it, or even a makeshift tree stand made out of wood. It's pretty cool just to see all that stuff and tell me where he's hunted. And we actually have a stand that is actually the stand that I missed my buck out of this year, that my dad and his buddy from high school built it when they were in high school. And that stand's still there today. We put a metal platform over the top of the wood platform. We will safer, but I think it's pretty cool to be able to hunt where my dad's hunted, shoot deer out of the stand. My dad shot deer out of it. Little stuff like that.
That's cool. Well, we're at the time in the show now, Steve, that you get to do some shout-outs. So give a shout-out to any sponsors and, of course, Rack's Big Game Supplement. So have at it.
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout-out to Chris Edwards and all the Rack's crew for helping me with giving me advice and everything, showing me the mineral and how to use it. Probably to Dakota Archery Norfolk branch. Shoot for them. It's a great business, small business. They're going through a tough time right now. I guess, that's probably all I got. But
all right, well, that works for me. So we're going to call this show a wrap. And Steve Cornett, thank you so much for joining and sharing with Whitetail Rendezvous Nation across North America. And I appreciate your thoughts, and I appreciate all the hard work you're doing. And keep it up, because we need young hunters just like you, keeping the sport alive.
All right. Thank you, sir. You have a good night.
As your host at Whitetail Rendezvous, I want to thank each and every one of you for spending your time with us today. I look forward to sharing with you in the next episode more whitetail hunting tips, techniques, and stories. Until then, keep the sun at your back, the wind in your face, and always be patient.
If you have any tips, comments, or suggestions, or what we can do to improve, because we're here to serve you, let us know. Thanks for listening to Whitetail Rendezvous Podcast at www.whitetailrendezvous.com.